Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I am Uncle Tats, and I am here to bring you some Yankees news, some baseball talk, because this is where fans become family, and my co-host should be here, Donald, in a moment or so. And here is the man himself getting ready to come in. So just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And listen, there's been a lot of mixed reports on the news with Arraez and a little bit of a screen issue. Donald, welcome. It's look, you're hearing he's coming. You're hearing that they're not even close. Look, Arraez is not one of these game changers that we need to be all crazy about. You know, this is not Bregman. This is not even nowhere even close to Soto, where you have to be on the edge of your seat, wondering if this is going to happen. This is just simply a Yankee option to improve a need of contact and a leadoff hitter. So let's not get too wrapped up in all the reports. If the Yankees were able to make a trade for him, okay. If they can't, I don't think any of us are going to lose sleep over it. Donald, are you going to lose sleep over it if we don't get Arraez?
No, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. No, I wouldn't say I would lose sleep over it. I think Arraez is a perfect example of where people are in terms of how they view baseball, modern baseball. A lot of people don't value him because they just put him down as he's just a singles hitter, as if that's like a bad thing. Do you know what I'm saying? As if that's a bad thing. Oh no, how dare he be a 3-time batting champion and have a career batting average of like 320, as if that's somehow like a negative connotation. But that just shows how there's like a divergence on how we view the modern baseball player. Like, for instance, me, I actually prefer people to get on base. I prefer people that can get on base and get base hits. And I like people that don't strike out. For me, that's a good thing, because for me, I think striking out is completely useless. It doesn't help you, right?
Yep.
So if you bat 260 and strike out 150 times, but you hit like 20 home runs, does that make you a better player than someone who bats 320, maybe doesn't hit any home runs, but doesn't strike out at all? And so that's what I'm saying. Is that really so much of a better thing? And I know that the modern analytics will find some way of disagreeing with me, but that's just, I guess it's okay to have a difference of opinion. But I really don't agree with this connotation that is somehow negative that he gets on base. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I always laughed at people that thought that Soto was a walk merchant, as if it's a bad thing that he had a great eye for on the strike zone. And it's the same thing for someone who gets on base and somehow he's basically a Jedi in terms of finding a way to get on base, in terms of getting base hits. I like him. I think he's a good player. Now, if you want to bring up his defense, I'm happy to discuss his defense. His defense is not good. It's certainly one of the worst in the league. He's worse than Gleyber Torres. Okay, we can have that conversation. But offensively, you're talking about someone who's just an incredible contact hitter. And that's like the ideal leadoff guy for me. So, I'm now, the other conversation you could have is, well, it's not really in line with the Yankees' formula for this coming season. And that I agree with, because it's not really what the Yankees are aiming for in this particular window, because they're all about run prevention. They're all about, maybe having a bit better base running and things like that. And obviously improve his defense and defense in the infield. He doesn't really address those issues, to be fair. He's obviously a bad defender and he's not a great base runner. So, okay, we can have that conversation. So, all in all, is he an ideal fit? I'm not sure if he's an ideal fit, but would I want to trade for him? I'm going to say yes, because I'm looking at the rest of the options. I don't like them. So if you give me a 320 hitter that can get in front of Aaron Judge, you put him in front of Aaron Judge and Big G, you're constantly going to have somebody on base for your big boppers to try and drive them in. That's a good thing. There's no way on earth that is considered a bad thing. So that's where I'm at. I would make the deal an ideal fit, maybe not, but I'm tired of reading this narrative that he's just a singles hitter, like that's a bad thing. That's the kind of shit that helps you win championships. Get on base. Find a way to get on base. Because good things happen when you're on base. Trust me.
Well, that's why I brought up the situation yesterday on Monday, rather, when if you get him in the lineup as your leadoff guy, and you have, let's say for argument's sake, they set up the lineup where Dominguez and Volpe are 8 and 9, and they get on base. You have two guys on base already now. With the lineup turning over, with the guy that's going to put the bat on the ball, which is going to maximize the ability for those two guys on base to implement their speed. And you'll have you'll have Judge or I don't know who would bat second, whether it be Judge or Bellinger, but let's just say they keep Judge in the 2-hole. So now you have Judge coming up with runners on base, whether it's 2 runners or 1 runner. So it's you're creating runs. And that's that stat that nobody wants to bring into light, is he is a guy that's going to create run support. He's going to create the situations for runners to come in, because he's going to be on base when the heart of the lineup comes up. So it's one of those. Yeah, he's not, like I said, he's not the flashy player. We can go and nitpick every single thing about him. But the one thing that the Yankees were missing, for years, was a guy that was able to just put the ball in play and drive in a run. This fixes that issue. Does it bring into question with defense? Absolutely. It's questionable. But does it negate the fact that is his defense bad enough where you're going, okay, we don't need to have a player that can create runs. We need to prevent them. But you can prevent all the runs on defense that you can. But very valuable asset.
Yeah.
But if we're not putting runs up, now you're stuck in this nail biter of a game in innings 8 and 9, and that's going to put more pressure on your bullpen. So there is a trickle effect to how you break down and analyze where the need is more of a priority. My opinion, I think the offensive side of his game is too big to just ignore and toss aside.
Completely agree with that. Yeah. And as let's point out some really good comments here.
Yep.
Let's say hello to FJ. What's going on, FJ? How are you, man? The best teams in history had a combo of single, double hitters with power bats. Facts. Preach. It's like as if people forgot about what forget what it takes to win a World Series. And how about what Acevedo says here? We lost the World Series because the Dodgers did everything in their power to get on base. As Don says, good things can happen. That's what I'm saying. If you can get on base, you immediately put pressure on the pitcher, and you put pressure on the defense just by being there. So that's the positive nature of getting on base. Plus, you don't know what can happen. If you make contact, maybe the other team makes an error. Maybe the other team isn't fielded correctly. Maybe something can happen, and you can generate some runs that way. Nothing good comes from striking out. The only positive thing that comes from striking out is that it's not a double play. That's the only positive. But so I don't want to hear the analytics people and the analytics gurus and those laptop warriors telling me that striking out is a good thing. Oh, striking out 200 times and hitting 19 home runs is better than someone who bats 330 and hits 2 home runs. Get the F out of here.
Because
I'm
he's
sorry.
not being brought in for his power. Like, yeah, he may only hit, a handful of home runs, but who cares? He's not there. He's not there to be a cleanup hitter to unload the bases loaded situation. He's there to get on base, to create runs for the big guys in the lineup.
Right. That's how you constitute a major league lineup.
It doesn't get more simplistic than that. I don't understand. Or I understand the argument from the naysayers. I get it. It's a legitimate argument that you have. But when you're talking about him with the offensive numbers, there's no denying that he can be very valuable in this batting order. It's got to be a give and take. I'm going to have to say, yeah, that misplay at second base in the sixth inning, yeah, that's unacceptable. Like, you're a major league ball player. But when he gets on base in front of Judge and he hits a 2-run home run in the ninth inning to walk it off when we're down by 1, then you have to come and say to me, yeah, I see. This is what we needed. So it's got to be a give and take. There's no perfect scenario. There's no player available right now for second base that is a free agent that's going to give you both defense and on base percentage like he can.
Right. He gets on base. I like his on base percentage. It's pretty good. I mean, I had someone say that Luis Arraez is Gleyber Torres, except with less pop, and the majority of his hits are single, right? And I replied, yeah, he's exactly the same, except he bats 60 points higher and has a better on base percentage and has a better OPS and is a 3-time batting champion. So he's not exactly the same as Gleyber Torres, not at all. People that just look at WAR and things like that to classify their baseball opinion, I will never agree with. That's just the way I view it. I think there's value to someone that can hit 320. I've always believed that. Ruben Sierra even wants Luis Arraez on the Yankees. Thank you, Nathan. Salute to Nathan. That's a great example, but that is also an example of the old school hitter appreciating the old school throwback.
Yep.
Ruben Sierra is an old school hitter, and he appreciates that Luis Arraez is an old school throwback. That's why probably I like Luis Arraez, because he's an old school throwback, someone that get on base, and someone that can make contact at the 100th percentile. Old school hitters appreciate that, because that art has been destroyed by the modern teachings of pulling the ball and aiming for the upper decks at the sacrifice of 60 points in your batting average, probably striking out 60 times more, just so that you can hit a couple more home runs. I don't agree with it. The Yankees did that to Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres was never that hitter when he came through. He was never that pool hitter that was just aiming for the upper decks until the Yankees got a hold of him. So the Yankees love to do that. They need to move off of that, get more contact in here, and you got a decent batting order. It'll be a deeper batting order. So I am actually very much on board with Arraez. Now, do I know whether the Yankees are going to get him or not? I don't. I think it's in the back burner.
It's speculative.
Yeah, it's kind of speculative. I think what we know, according to Passan and guys like that, we know the Yankees have had conversations with the Padres. How the conversations went, I had no idea. I have no idea. But John Heyman says at the moment he's not a fit. At the moment. So we'll wait and see. It might be a case where in a couple of weeks' time, the Yankees start to think he has a better hit. But I don't know what the cost will be. All these things are purely speculative at this point. FJ says Arraez averages 33 doubles over 162 game season, along with 43 extra base hits. Terrible, awful. Oh no, we can't have that.
No, and
Facts, Regil. Facts.
yeah, it's look. I'm not saying that my argument for him is not that he's just going to be this on base. He's not going to be a doubles machine. He's just gonna. He's a guy that is going to have the defense on alert because he's going to put the ball in play. And once you put the ball in play, a multitude of things can happen. How many times do we see? Oh, if he would have just run out, if he would have run it out right out of the box, he could have beat that infield dribbler. But that's kind of the type of player that we need. And Donovan, I think you're right. He does remind me a lot of a modern day Tony Gwynn. I am old enough to remember that. So, but he was one of the. You wanted Tony Gwynn up in front of your boppers.
Hell yeah, you did.
Oh, absolutely. But one more thing with the Torres comparison. If Torres was more focused on putting the ball in play rather than hitting the ball over the wall, he would have been the guy that the Yankees were looking at to bring back. It's that simple.
I know you say that, but the Yankees actually changed that. The Yankees changed him. He didn't change himself.
Well, because he had that one year where he hit a million home runs in Baltimore, and they tried changing him into a power hitter.
Yeah.
Rather than just letting it, if the ball's going to travel that far over the wall, just let it travel. If it lands in the gap and he's able to get a double, then that's just it. Sometimes a double is better than the home run, especially late innings when you're trying to rally. Yeah. You can't score 4 runs off 1 home run if there's nobody on base. So that's where the Luis Arraez value comes into play. If it's really that tight of a game and you're worried about his defense, then substitute him at the end of the game. Substitute him in the late innings. You have options on the bench.
That's why I'll always say that I believe that Mike Fishman is a war criminal for his work in charge of the analytics, because he's the one that's often behind a lot of these decisions. Obviously, as well as the offensive philosophy in general, but that comes from the front office. It's not just the hitting coach. That actually comes from the front office, how they want their hitters to hit, and they made Gleyber Torres traditionally a pool hitter after coming in, being able to hit from all fields. So that was a mistake, in my opinion. But that was in line with the way things were. Now, I'm wondering whether it's been amended a little bit, because it doesn't seem quite as bad now. So I'm hoping that they've kind of amended that philosophy. But no, I really like Arraez. I think he's a good player now. He can't defend. So is he the ideal fit? No, but I don't know who the ideal fit is at this stage. Do you know, like if you look at the options, who's going to make us better, right? So obviously the first name at the top of my head would be Bregman, right? But then people don't want 5 or 6 years on Alec Bregman, right? So, and they're saying that he might be declining a little bit, or maybe his swing isn't perfect for Yankee Stadium. So there isn't an automatic fit. But I would argue that Bregman would give you Gold Glove defense, and at least for the first 3 years of his contract, he's going to hit you 20 home runs and drive in 75 RBIs and hit 270, right? And now that is good, and you'll get on base. So that's something that can deepen your order, and we're in pretty good shape, and you're covered at third base for the next 3-4 years, right? But the other side of the coin would be, well, he's not going to be an ideal fit for Yankee Stadium. There's the trash can stuff. And there's the fact that he wants 6 years and the Yankees aren't going to do that, right? So then, okay, I'm happy. Let's move on then. What's the next fit? Who do you want? Arraez. Going to give you 320 batting average. His contact will be in the 100th percentile. No one does it better in the league. But He can't defend. In fact, he's one of the worst defenders in the league, and he's not a good base runner either. Okay, right? So let's move on. Who's the next candidate that you want? Because we need somebody. We're definitely short in the infield. You can't have Oswaldo Cabrera and DJ LeMahieu manning third base. So who's your next option? You want Brandon Rogers from Colorado? I mean, Mr. Mid? No, you don't want him. He's ass, right? So who's the next guy you want? So what I'm saying is there's not really an ideal candidate. So you might as well go with the best possible solution. And for me, it's Bregman. But if the Yankees don't want to go 20, 25 million over the Cohen tax threshold, because then that would be doubled that, it would be like 50, 60 mil that you're paying a 20 million contract, AAV contract because of the Cohen tax, then okay, well then Arraez. All right, you're gonna have to live with the fact he can't defend too well. But on the plus side, he's gonna bat you 320, and he's gonna be constantly on base for Judge and Big G. I can live with that personally. It's just what can the Yankees live with? It just depends on what the Yankees view the position that they need to upgrade as. If they just want to view it as, oh, we just need an upgrade for DJ LeMahieu, then they could call up Uncle Tats and put Uncle Tats at third base, and you're probably going to give you more than DJ LeMahieu did last year. But if the Yankees are viewing it as, you know what, we seriously need someone that can get on base at a 350 clip, 370 clip, and someone that can, hit for average, hit for contact, and provide those positive things, then yeah, we're going to have to just push the boat out and maybe, hold your nose at the defense, but kind of like the fact he's going to give you contact in the 100th percentile better than everyone else in the league. I can live with that personally. That's something that I would do. That's the way I view it. Tats, how would you view it if you were assessing the situation?
No, I think the Yankees are kind of in line with Raziel's comment. If they let Peraza go handle second, right? You leave. I think that the issue is not. They're not in desperation to trade for Arraez. It's not a desperation move. It's just a move that looks good as long because he's available. They're willing to listen. I didn't hear Rogers' name until Arraez. Everybody got so uptight with Arraez with his defense, they just picked a second baseman out of a hat. Be like, okay, here's the next guy we're going to talk about.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, why are we going for Rogers if we're going to have to pay a haul for Arraez? Why call Colorado? Call St. Louis. See if if they could re-kick the tires on a Brendan Donovan.
Yeah.
And
Rosario has signed a 1-year deal with the Nationals. Thank you, Nathan.
Yep. So there's another guy off the market.
Right.
But, I mean, again, now everyone's going to be like, oh, they're going to look at the 1 year, $2 million. Really? This
is a good comment from Jake Boss. This is a good comment from Jake Boss. When Stanton is on the IL, and it's a win, then DH Arraez. Exactly. So those complaining about his defense, I mean, probably for a month of the season, you'll have Arraez playing DH, and you'll have your Gold Glove caliber defense at third base, save from an Oswald Peraza or something like that. So that makes sense as well.
Yeah, I know, Raziel. That's the biggest problem with Too Logical. It's but this is just how we are. This is how we always have been. We'll get emotional sometimes, but then we let logic come back into play. No, and Acevedo, that's what I think. I think everything is just going to be storylines to put into the media to keep the conversation of the offseason going because everything's, you had a couple little signings, over the last couple of days. Nathan's breaking with the Ahmed Rosario, but everybody is waiting for Sasaki to make his decision. I think that after that, almost like with Soto, you started seeing a lot more talks. Does it strike you as odd that a lot of these guys now, because they get into free agency into their 30s, and I respect the fact that they're looking at the amount of years where they don't have to go through free agency again because they know once they get back to free agency, they're done. So I can kind of respect their stubbornness of not wanting to lessen their years, especially with a guy like Bregman. Even Alonso. Alonso he's asking way too many years. But this might be something that baseball seriously has to look at as far as the age of players are going into free agency.
I don't know what do you mean by that? I mean, what
because if Bregman wasn't looking for his last contract and he's willing to go 3 years, it's a no-brainer for the Yankees to give him the 3 years, even if they have to go a little higher on the AAV. Because they don't want to
free agents if their contract runs out, and that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
What are you going to ban them from being free agents if they reach a certain age? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I think the age of free agency, I think the years before they go into, I think that needs to be changed.
Oh, right. So, well, I mean, but that's just completely based on who's bidding. I mean, for instance, I don't think the Yankees really wanted to give Max Fried 8 or 9 years, did they? But because he's 31, but everyone was bidding, and so it's not just dollar amounts. It's we can give you that more. You can give you more years and that more security. So free agency is purely based on the market that there is for that particular player. You're not just immediately granted, right, you're going to be signing for 5 years when you become a free agent. It's dependent on the market and who's interested. I mean, did anybody really think that Juan Soto was an $800 million baseball player? I mean, come on. He's not. He's generational. He's, for me, the best hitter in the Yankee team last year, but I'm not giving him $800 million, but it's dependent on the market. And the market was $800 million, so he's an $800 million player. So what I'm saying is free agency is purely based on the interest level in that player and the market there is for that particular player. So I think we move on from that conversation. Where are you with Sasaki? Do you think we're going to get him?
No.
No, I love that.
Nope. Yeah, and where was it? Because I think it was the perfect comment here. It was Egyptian magician going, the Japan Dodgers are going to get him.
I don't know if the Japan Dodgers, for some reason,
he's going out west.
I think he's going to go to the Padres. I think Padres for him.
Yeah, I think the Giants might be out of it. Man, they just signed Verlander yesterday.
Yeah, what do you think of that move?
Good for him. Look, on a competitive note, as an opponent, I hated when he was on the mound against the Yankees. But he is such a throwback pitcher with his ability to just be as dominant as possible, even as he's aging. He's not really losing too much of a step. A lot of that is based on the fact that when he first came up, he would hold back on his fastball to the later innings, and then he would go full velocity. So he really knew how to take care of his arm. So I'm glad he's able to continue his career. And to go to the Giants to compete with that division, I think that was a big move by the Giants.
You think so? Do you not think that at 42 years old he might be cooked?
For 1 year? No. Like I said, he was one of those players that really, like a Garrett Cole, he took very good care of himself.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see if he just went 1 year too many.
So you think
I
that
don't.
he's still got something left in the tank?
I think he still has something left, even if he ends up like a bullpen piece at the end of the year. Yeah, I think he still has value to a team, even if
I
it's
mean,
not as a rotation starter.
you think they're gonna pay him $15 million to stick him in the bullpen? He's Justin Verlander. I don't think they're gonna do that. But I'm just looking at his numbers for Houston now, albeit it was the American League, and it's unforgiving. But 5-6 with a 5.48 ERA last year is not a good number. So I'll see. Maybe he has a resurgence because he wasn't that bad at the Mets in 2023. So maybe he has a comeback year. This is certainly 2024 was the worst year he's had in his career.
Yeah, I think he's trying to give it one more go. I think he wants to go out with a little more pride than the
Right.
numbers you threw out. But I think
Does
this
that
is
get
going to
the
be his last.
Giants out of the Stroman sweepstakes?
Yeah, that's the other. That's the other side of it.
Yeah, because now it's official. The Yankees are shopping Stroman. It's obviously it's nothing that we
That,
don't already know. That's the most obvious thing ever. It's like, does Tuesday follow after Monday? It's the most obvious thing ever. Of course, Stroman was going to be shopped, but we now know officially that he's being shopped. Um, I don't know what his market is right now.
you would think with especially the way that the free agency started, with the amount of money being thrown at pitches, that he'd be an easy one to move at 18 and a half. I think what's really slowing the market on him down is the vested option. I think that's what it is. Because I think if he pitches a certain amount of innings, it kicks in an option for next year. So I think that's going to hurt him. I don't know if it was
Stroman,
a bad signing. I'm going to say it was. We needed a starter. He was willing to come here. It just sometimes just because it doesn't work out doesn't always mean it was the wrong move.
right? I would have given him like a 1 year and a team option. Um, if I were to give out that contract in hindsight, I thought it was a fairly like reasonable contract
Yeah.
for what he is, and he wasn't that horrible first half of the year. I thought he was pretty good. Second half of the year, though, that's traditionally where he struggles, and that's exactly what happened. The guy fell off a cliff second half of the year. But in hindsight, was it a mistake? Yeah, you could probably make that argument because um, there were better options. There were much better options that they could have gone for that would actually helped in the postseason because he was just a non-factor in the postseason. So
Well,
yeah,
the other part of it is too, Donald, is the market when we signed him was still a little bit on the high end, and he took less money. He left money on
right.
the table to come to the Yankees.
You're spot on. He did.
So that's why I'm going to be fair and not critique the money because it
Yeah,
could
no, I
have been
agree.
worse.
Yeah, I agree with the money aspect. I just think that maybe it was a year too long, that contract.
His production could be into question, but not the contract.
Well, maybe the years, as I say, but I mean, you don't know. Maybe they would have rejected a 1 year plus a team option kind of a situation. We don't know what. Obviously, we're not privy to negotiations, but it's not ideal for us right now because we have to shop him. We're at the point where we're already at the Cohen tax threshold, and we're a player short in the infield, and we're about 2 arms short in the bullpen. So we definitely need to shed that $18 million if we're going to be able to get all this stuff done. Um, and I hope we can do it. Let's just hope so. John the Beagle Dad, I hope you're doing better, man. I hope you and the family are doing well after what happened the other day. So my best to you, man. I hope you're doing okay. That was a pretty shocking story that you guys told me. Stevie B, Stroman deal was team friendly. On what going on for maybe 2 or 3 million. Yeah, exactly. There could be a case where the Yankees maybe eat like $3 million of that, and and still they'd come out in good shape, but that salary. Um, Asvita says the Cubs wanted him before he decided to come to New York. They should work out a deal with them. He did great there.
The Cubs did want him back in free agency. Do they want him now? A couple years later, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's
I,
it.
I think that they closed that chapter. They're moving on. It's what if you say if they're officially going to put him on the market, the Cubs call, just get what you can. Even if you say, all right, we'll eat $5 million and take him off our hands. That still leaves that puts $13 million back into the budget. And that might help you get a lefty reliever.
Yeah, they need a lefty reliever. They probably need a spot starter, and they definitely need a third/second baseman. And there's not a doubt about it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Those need to be addressed. Spot starter issues, not really a big deal. Lefty reliever, yeah, that's more of a priority. Third baseman is a non-negotiable.
Well, yeah, Steve, if we have that $13 million that we're getting rid of on Stroman's contract, that's more than enough to go get Tim Hill.
Nothing. Guys, an update, Tats?
Yep, Clint Hurdle episode out now, and definitely recommend checking out Nathan's channel on the NR Hour Sports Show. Doesn't rule a return to manage, but the right opportunity would need to come up. Hurdle was a good manager. I think he should be able to find another home. I think he earned it.
Future Yankee manager.
Oh, please. Anybody but.
They're not. I don't think they're going to DFA DJ, but
DJ now is a 5'10" guy, so it does get a little tricky. So I think you take him off the trade market. Nobody, because he could block any trade now.
Right.
I don't know how that works with DFAing though. But you still have to eat that. You still have the money on your payroll. And so DFAing him, it may help with a roster spot, but I don't think that helps with the budget.
So partly, according to Brian Hoke, he says the Yankees think they have a legit shot at landing Roki Sasaki. So the Yankees seem to think that they're still in this thing. I've heard that from a couple of sources, but of course it's early. To be honest, I don't see the upside of him going to the Dodgers. I don't know. They've already got an all-star team. They don't need him. He could be a star elsewhere. I think the Padres would make sense for him if he wants to be in the West Coast, and I think that would be a good fit for him. He's got that connection to Darvish. I mean, that makes sense. If he wants to really go and make a name for himself, go to the East Coast. Now the Yankees don't really have a need for him, but we'll take him. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that would be amazing. If you get Sasaki, that rotation's just crazy. And it actually opens up more trade possibilities. Because then you could dangle Clark Schmidt if we land Sasaki. You could dangle him. And you maybe get a better infielder in return. It's something to consider. That's what we're thinking, I think.
Well, let's hang on that branch for a second. We get Sasaki. That gives us the option, or it would. See, I don't want to get rid of Clark Schmidt though. I really think he's going to be a legit starter. If a team calls for Clark Schmidt, it better be St. Louis, and it better be for Brandon Donovan. That's I need somebody that's going to be effective on both sides of the game. If I'm going to deplete, if I'm going to weaken my rotation depth, there's got to be a give and take on that.
Yeah,
especially if we're already shopping Stroman. How weak do you want the rotation to be? Right now, if we get Sasaki, that would make Clark Schmidt the sixth man. So, because you're not gonna, Heel coming off the Rookie of the Year, he ain't coming. He's not gonna be your sixth starter. Rodon with his contract is not gonna be the sixth starter.
No,
there'd be a mutiny.
Right.
The fans would just go. They would go at each other. Like I said, I think that Rodon coming off of this season, I'm sure if we go back and look at the show right before the season started, the one thing I wanted for Rodon was stay healthy, and he made every one of his starts. So
Stevie B, absolutely. If you've got an article, post it, man. Absolutely.
Yep.
We're delighted.
Then Lou say maybe he wants a championship immediately. I'm assuming that's with Sasaki. That would really put him. I mean, in the National League, there could be so many teams that are in contention. The National League got stronger this offseason. So even though the Dodgers are definitely going to be the favorite and it's their crown to take, I don't think it's as clear a path as it was last year. And that's, as of now, on paper. The game still has to be played out. Don't forget, on paper last year, the Yankees were supposed to finish fourth.
Stevie B's in urgent care with stomach bug. Oh, man, Stevie B.
Oof.
Got to get healthy for us, my guy.
Yeah.
I hope it works out, man. Hope it's okay.
Yeah, and Ken's bringing up the Reds have trade options now that they have Lux. That's a good point, too. The Reds, you could always call them up.
I do think there will be some market for Stroman. As I say, it's just a case of I think we're waiting to see what happens with Sasaki. Then after Sasaki, and then maybe a couple of other names drop off in free agency, then there'll be more of a market for Stroman. It's just we have to remember we're still like what would you say about 6 weeks away from pitchers and catchers?
34 days.
Right. So it's a patient process. You know what I'm saying? It's obviously you would wish that that baseball would have things in place to make free agency more interesting post December. You know what I'm saying? But this is a long process, and moves can happen all the way right through to spring training. So and beyond. So we might have to be patient on this because I don't think the Yankees are going to make any moves until find out what happens with the arbitrations at the weekend. Then you find out about the Sasaki on the 15th, and then we need to find a way of shedding Stroman's salary. So all those things I think are going to need to come into play before we start thinking about finishing off this off season in terms of what we need.
Yep. And look, I'm very hesitant. I'm always hesitant to get rid of pitching depth. That's why you and I, we went on at odds when they moved on from Montgomery. And that was probably one of our most fun debates.
You know what? You're right about that. In hindsight, it was the wrong move. It absolutely was the wrong move. You're spot on, man.
And that's not going to, have me say, well, this is why you should never move on from your depth. but just be a little strategic about it. And Stroman, yeah, the money is very easy to move, even if you have to. I wouldn't eat more than five. Sorry, not at all. I'm trying to get rid of as much as I can. So because I need to, we still have to try to get under the 300 mark. And even though like we said, it kicks in at the end of the year.
Right.
If you're that far, if you're, you know, it's easy to move. If you're at 307 to start the year, it's easy to maneuver 7 million as opposed to if you're at 320, 325 to move that amount of money within players.
So wait, the quote tax that is only addressed at the end of this coming season, at the end of the
luxury
season.
tax in general.
Wow.
It's at the end of the year.
Then fuck it. Go get Bregman, man. Go get Bregman. What the fuck?
And then worry about the money later.
Right. What are we waiting for? Go get Bregman. Jeez.
So that's why I'm saying this is not, but the deeper you are into the tax threshold, the more of a challenge you're putting on yourself to shed that salary at the same time throughout the year.
Right.
So that's where I understand the Yankees not wanting to, go too overboard, but they were willing to do that for Soto. So you
right.
already accepted your fate that you'd have to pay, a certain amount over the tax. So,
yeah. And there is tons of money coming off the books next year anyway.
Exactly. So I'm like, so that's why, that's why Bregman came back into the conversation, because we had put him on the back burner for a while, and it's like, all right. Then the light bulb went off, and we're like, you know what? They were spending the money anyway. So yeah, no, they don't have to spend. A lot of people are like, oh, we didn't get Soto, so we have all that money left to spend. But in reality, it's 50. It's the Yankees, saved themselves only $50 million. And you hear only, but with all the issues the Yankees needed to fill, that's going to be hard to stay under 50. They're going to have to go over.
I mean, I can see it on both sides regarding Hal. So Hal offered more than any of us would have dreamed that we offered for Juan Soto, and fought to the very, very end until he realized that Juan Soto was purely using the Yankees to up the offer for the Mets, for him to sign for the Mets. So I'm glad that we backed away when we did. So no complaints there. I do agree with him that you can have a championship roster with a $300 million payroll. Do agree with that. I mean, I don't have necessarily a problem if there was a salary cap threshold of $300 million. And as long as there's a salary floor, but none of those things exist, right? And you're still the Yankees, and the Yankees made probably about $1 billion when you consider the playoffs, Juan Soto ticket sales, and basically selling out every single game. You would think for this season, plus you've lost Soto, you lost to the Dodgers. Shouldn't you just take away this self-imposed budget? Shouldn't you just be like, do what you need to do? Do what you need to do. Within reason, do what you need to do. Don't spend like a drunken sailor, but do what you need to do, because we need to win this arms race with the Dodgers. Because the Dodgers are running away with the arms race. And they are an example of a team that just want to win. They want to win at all costs. Cost be damned. And they are not a richer club than the Yankees, not by a long shot. So it makes you think, you know what? I can see where Hal is. I get it. He's not cheap. Definitely do not accuse him of being cheap. And to be honest, he's probably the best owner at the moment of the New York teams. I think we can safely agree with that. If you say obviously Dolan, the Rangers, and the Knicks is backed away from meddling, so he's been okay lately. John Mara is a disgrace. Woody Johnson and the Jets is a disgrace. Steve King Cohen. I mean, you could maybe make that argument, but he's not really done anything. He won an arms race with the Yankees for Soto. That's about all that he has so far under his cap. So you would think then, you know what? Maybe Hal Steinbrenner is the best of the owners right now. So maybe we're blessed to have him. However, on the other side of the coin, you need to take off this self-imposed budget.
Yeah.
If there is somebody that available that makes you better, God damn it, go get that freaking player. Because being happy that you stayed under a self-imposed budget at the expense of winning a championship, they don't correlate. They don't correlate. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
And if you look at the way that they moved after they acquired Soto last year, they didn't go all in, and that's why we didn't win a world championship. Had we had better baseball players, the Yankees would be champions right now, not the Dodgers. But they don't. And they're starting to address that now. But now they've reached the maximum of their self-imposed budget. So that's where I'm slightly divergent on that. Now, obviously, it's easy for someone sitting in this chair talking through this microphone without knowing what the Yankees' expenses are. I know that there's different expenses that the Yankees have, and it's not just purely right. They've earned $800 million in ticket sales. Go and spend that $800 million on baseball players. It doesn't work that way. I understand.
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, the Dodgers are doing that, and the Mets are doing that. Well, the Mets aren't even doing that. They don't even make any money from ticket sales. No one watches them. So Cohen's just using everything that he's got in his own freaking bank account to pay for the Mets, and it's working. So I don't know. If I were Hal, I'd be like, go and get me Bregman, and let's go win the championship.
Yeah, especially with the money coming off the books next year. At the end of this year, bite the bullet with the COVID tax for 1 year. Now, the Dodgers are gonna, the Yankees are gonna print money. So it's. I think the stadium. I think funds itself between the ticket stands, parking. Forget it. I don't even drive to the stadium anymore. I take the train. I can go back to New York anyway, Long Island round trip and spend less than the parking.
Yeah. Good luck even getting to New York anyway now, driving with this stupid
with the congestion tax?
Congestion tax. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life.
But I think, look, the Yankees, and I know there were a couple of comments from the previous show why we even bothered wasting our time with Bregman. But the reason is the Yankees have been very calculated, like we've been saying. We've given them all the credit. They have gone for need over what the shiny toy. They tried for the shiny toy in Soto. He went to the Mets, and the Mets have their own problems because Alonso is still a free agent, which does not make any sense to me. Talk about we critique the Yankees with their players. They should keep them. They should move them. Alonso has a chance. The Mets have a chance to have Alonso as a lifetime Met, breaking almost every record that the Yankees hold. And
the Yankees hold?
That the Mets hold. And they're going to let him walk?
You scared the shit out of me there. What? He's going to beat Babe Ruth's record? What the fuck?
Can't see. I think the Mets are making a big decision toying around with Alonso. That's some of it. all because Vlad Jr. is going to be a free agent next year. So yeah.
But the thing is, man, I don't want to worry about what the Mets are doing. I don't care what
Yeah.
the Mets are doing. They're completely irrelevant to me. And that's why Yankee fans are different than Met fans. Met fans have been sitting there in their mom's basements, wondering, looking at what the Yankees are doing, and wondering why the Yankees aren't more upset about losing Soto. Why are you not more upset about Soto? Hello? Are you still upset about losing Soto?
It doesn't end.
That's what they're doing. That's exactly what the Mets fans are doing right now. Look at your own club. You have like 2/5 of a rotation. Yeah, worry about your own team. You know what I'm saying? But all they do is obsess about the Yankees. The Mets aren't a serious club. They never will be.
No, and that was going to tie into the close of my argument. There is that, and that's what makes Hal stand out amongst all the other owners in New York. See how I tied that all back in, Donald? But so a lot of people want to say they can say whatever they want about Hal. Hal and Cashman have teamed up to put together one of the better off seasons we've probably seen since 2009. So it's a mute argument to try to, this Yankees don't know what they're doing, and what are they waiting for? They know what they're waiting for. They're waiting to find out what's going on with Sasaki. Then they'll know what's going on, because they're also, they need, they're going to want to know if they have the international free agent money. So that's why Bregman's on hold until after Sasaki's decision. And I think that's when you're going to really start to see the talks with him heating up. And you'll see negotiations get a little more grittier. And if they're able to get Sasaki and freaking Bregman, hey, go for it.
Well, I agree with John the Beagle Dad here, but that's obviously a political thing. But you're spot on, man. You're completely spot on.
That's a conversation for another.
It's our evil stepbrother. Yeah, I don't even think that they're even evil. They're irrelevant. For me, they're the vegan alternative to meat. That's what I view them as. You know what I'm saying? They try so hard to be us, but they can't.
Yeah. But there's still a lot of baseball talk, a lot of Yankee talk, that's going to come and do more of a spotlight over the next week or two, especially as we get closer to pitches and catches. Because I'm one of those. I think that having your pitching staff set before pitches and catches report is important, because they need to have that time to work with the catches and all the coaches. It's like the Impossible Burger. Like
exactly, it's what it is.
That's not a burger.
I'm gonna elaborate that on my Saturday show. I'm gonna go deeper into that one, because I'm really proud of that one.
But that closes us out, because it's like, all right, one thing that we have not really addressed, and I want to wait until we have Rob with us, and hopefully Rob is feeling better over the rest of the day and tomorrow, is we have not talked at all about the catching depth at all. We've been so locked in with everything else. So I think that's still a discussion that needs to be had as we get closer to pitches and catches. So that is going to wrap things up for us today on this Wednesday. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day. And Stephen B., hope you feel better as well. CT.
Yeah.
Always keep fighting. And just remember, this has been the Pitch Track Chronicles, where fans become family. So hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out. Your friends, your family, stream this on the corner.
Say them.
As I always say, with us pitch out your pride and play hard.
Yeah. Let's